We have some interesting topics to talk about today, but we have to start, strangely enough, with Formula One. Not Formula E, Formula One. Because Sebastian Vettel is not signing with Ferrari. And a lot of people, Jack, a lot of people have been speculating that he might join Formula E. Now, what are your views on that?
No, I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. Because the amount that he said the amount that he said in the past, he's moaned about the V6s. I remember when he went out he retired from the race in Sochi last year. He said something like, "I want the V12s back" or something like that. So, I mean, that doesn't really fit in line with Formula E. So I don't see it. Yeah, I just can't see him. I can't see him moving to. I can't see him staying in Formula One either. That I think that he will, based on what he said in his announcement from Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel will retire from Formula One and possibly from racing at the end of 2020.
See, that's interesting. Like, for me, I don't believe, first and foremost, I do not believe that Sebastian Vettel will be driving in Formula E. I know a lot of people said, look, there's 2 Audi contracts up for grabs. You know, Lucas Di Grassi's seat, Daniel App's seat. I reckon Audi will be mad not to re-sign Lucas Di Grassi because even though he is getting older, he's still doing the business. Whereas Daniel App, as again, it's just a rolling 1 year contract. Obviously, he said in an interview with eFormel that obviously he'd love to stay. But there's things that could happen that always take things out of his hands. And Sebastian Vettel saying that I'm not racing for Ferrari anymore, and if he does come out to say that he's made that decision not to race in Formula One, then people have said, there's an Audi seat, German driver, German team. It makes sense, but will it happen, Jack? I don't think so.
No, I don't. I really doubt that it's going to happen. Yeah, no, I based on what he said, I haven't got the quote in front of me. I did have it in front of me a few minutes ago, but he said that basically because of the whole situation, we all need to reevaluate our priorities, and so that just sounds like he's going to spend more time with his family and not at a Formula One circuit, a la Nico Rosberg. He'll probably make a few appearances, but yeah, no, I don't
Well,
see it happening.
the thing is, right, I feel like we put a right downer on this straight away. We're like, no, not happening. Honestly, if Sebastian Vettel signed for Audi or signed for any Formula E team next season, I think me and you will be buzzing. We'll be like, oh my god, we've got Sebastian Vettel. Like, we're not expecting it. Obviously, what he said before about Formula E and obviously the engines, he's more on the I want beefy, loud stuff. I want things to be, as loud and as old school as possible. Because, he's probably at the age of 32, even though he's not old, but, he's probably like me and you. He still remembers the V8s. So, like, the V10s for us were sort of being phased out while we were younger. But at the same time, like, for him, he's grown up seeing those big engines, then seeing the V8s, going, you know what, they're all right because they're still blisteringly loud, and then going to the V6s, which, in terms of sound, is a completely different kettle of fish. And then obviously, then you're going to virtually a sound of a double-decker bus when you go to Formula E. So that's a big come down from someone who wants loud engines to then drive something that's quite silent.
Well, in regards to if Sebastian Vettel does actually end up in Formula E, yes, I am throwing a party, and yes, you are invited. So, um, but in terms of like the whole V8, V10, V12 era, yeah, he would have grown up watching the V12 and V10. I mean, like he was the man of the V8 era. He won the last 4 championships of the V8 era for Red Bull, and so yeah, I think and who knows? He probably would have won more had we not switched to V6s. But yeah, I still for me the V8s were the most unpredictable era because you just never knew who was going to win. Even in the years where like Button dominated, and even the years where Vettel dominated, you just didn't know what was going to happen next. And so yeah, and I think Vettel does. Yeah, and so yeah, I stand by the fact that Vettel wants to return to these old school to these old school engines and just relive probably the best years of Formula One. Those 8 years we had V8 engines.
I suppose what we'd said in terms of him watching, he definitely wasn't watching the V8 era because it started in 2000 2006. So he had 1 year where he watched it in 2006, because obviously in 2007 that's where he made his debut in Indianapolis. So he's pretty much drove the whole V8
He was
era
actually the
of Formula One.
BMW test driver in 2006, and he drove in Turkey, and he drove out the pit lane and got a first time driving an F1 car. He drove out the pit lane, sped in the pit lane, and so is now the record holder for least amount of time in a career before getting a penalty at 6 seconds. So
what a legend! What a legend! Like, that is something that
we
probably
want
won't
him.
be in.
we want that kind of record in Formula E.
Exactly. But the thing is, look, we'd love him in Formula E. We really would. Like, I know then people will continue the argument that Formula E is just a F1 retired driver home. But at the same time, you know, you could argue that for a lot of series. Formula One is still the pinnacle of motorsport in whatever case or form, you know. So therefore, you could say that about WEC. They're either the F1 drivers who never made it or the F1 drivers who go to retire. You could say that about WEC, and you could probably say that about many other different series, to be honest with you. So, you know, I get the argument for that, but at the same time, I think we can refute that. And with the championship growing as it is, I think last thing to say is sort of on Vettel joining. You know, it'd be great, and I suppose that would, a driver of his caliber coming in, you know, a 4-time Formula One world champion coming in to drive in Formula E, if he wants to do that, would bring Formula E into probably the next level of interest.
100%, yeah. I think Sebastian coming into Formula E would drive everything up in Germany. Maybe he would want to drive for one of the 4 German manufacturers, but yeah, I just still don't see it.
I suppose our friends at eFormLD are loving this right now, because obviously the German, you know, crowd will be
Get Toby on the line right now.
Toby on the line, like, yeah, he's probably fueling the story of, well, he was the one who fueled the on Twitter the Audi story about, well, both of their contracts are for sale, so you never know. But obviously, like, as you said, like in Germany, it'd be huge if Vettel came, and obviously for eFormLD, that's like, you know, winning the lottery. So having someone, because that will really engage, and obviously eFormLD, a German Formula E website who are extremely good at what they do, and I'm supposed, you know, their following will go through the roof.